Catty Connie and loudmouth Linda, keeping it real, no agenda. Satire, truth, and a whole lot of fun. Politics, crime, we get it all done. From breaking news to a joke or two, we do it our way just for you. We just can't make this stuff up. 1 year strong and we ain't gonna stop. Mic in hand, voices loud, shouting truth, making you proud.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. What a beautiful morning the Lord has made us, and we are going to be proud in it, right? So blessed to be here. All right, guys. I've been watching the Diddy trial, and I think they've been on a break for about an hour and a half. I can read to you what has come up so far, but what I'd like to do is I'm going to share what's going on right now on the screen, because who wants to sit here and read? I'll read it to you, but who wants to look at the words, right? So I am going to share with you the camera in LA while I tell you what Diddy's trial is doing right now, and then we'll go from there. LA is a crazy situation right now, guys. It's insane. This is insanity. So we know that we've got 500 Marines in, right? They're there. And we also know that there's 2,000 more National Guard there. So while I read the transcripts of what's going on this morning in the Diddy trial, I want you to be able to look at something, anything, right? Let's look at something while I do this for you. It's insane, guys. This is just totally insane. I don't even know what to say, but I got a few things I want to tell you this morning. There's a few things I want to tell you this morning before I get off the air. So, let's start with Mr. Demon, itty bitty demon Diddy. So this morning, before the jury walked in, the judge said, "I'm ruling that the government cannot call Dr. Hughes for more testimony despite the Second Circuit's decision in U.S. versus Larry Ray. On rule that Jane's notes reflecting alleged fraud to induce her into the hotel nights are admissible despite the defense's arguments." All right. So then Alexandria Shapiro said, Mrs. Bong said clearly the balcony incident took place on September 26th. We believe she perjured herself and that they knew the government incited that all injured were at the same time. The judge, couldn't we just say that the government screwed up, giving Mrs. Westmoreland's a rare Perry Mason moment in federal court that defense back in its war zone could say great job. Shapiro, she did do a great job, but they had Mrs. Ventura say she saw it. Shapiro, this is only our second motion for mistrial. I'm not sure why the government says it's the third. The prosecution, perjury is only one prong of a 4-part test. Judge, this happened years ago. Mrs. Bong has taken a lot of drugs. Thank God she's sober. Prosecution, Mr. Steele also moved for a mistrial. Judge, well, he said he was going to move. Shapiro, see, guys, look, they are trying everything they can possibly try at this point to get a mistrial. And you know, this is really stupid, because if there's a mistrial, Diddy goes back to the jail cell and he sits there. Hello, my friend. Hello, Whoopi. If they do a mistrial on this case right now, Diddy goes back to jail. And it's going to take another year before he turns around and he gets another case. Now, let's talk about that. You think that the feds aren't going to start ramping up all the other stuff that they can find in a year and a half? It's going to take a while. He's not going to go back to court like in an hour or a week or a month. It's going to take about a year. So that will give the prosecution even more time to make even a stronger case. There you have it. This is stupid. This mistrial stuff is stupid, and it's a circus. Like I said, Diddy's a clown, and it just needs to end. The circus is crazy. All right, let me go back to old Diddy here. All right, so Mr. Steele also moved for a mistrial, Judge. Well, he said he was going to move for mistrial. We object to juror number 6 being stricken. It's under seal, and Judge said everyone will be heard. Where? Okay. Judge, bring in Jane, then the jury. All rise. Ms. Garagos, you may proceed with cross-examination. Garagos, Jane, we met before. Then you stopped meeting with the defense. That was your choice, right? Jane said, correct. Garagos, you are testifying against Mr. Combs? Jane, I'm testifying against him? Garagos, how many times did they prep you on how to be cross-examined on this trial? Jane, maybe 2 or 3 times. Garagos, did you bring in another prosecution to cross you? Yes. Garagos, and they granted you immunity at this grand jury, right? Yes. You said you had regret about some of the choices you made with Mr. Combs? Jane, if you have it, I'd love to look at it with you. Now, all right, let's just keep going. Garagos, you choose to participate in that lifestyle for many years, and you did not want to break up with him, right? Jane, I did not want to. Garagos, you had sex with other men for years. Jane, I resent the emotional control. I was hooked from the start. Jane, there was a pressure to perform these acts my lover desired. Garagos, you used the word partner again and again on direct. He was your partner? Yes. Garagos, you said you've been having trouble answering for yourself. Why did you have sex with these? Answering for yourself why you had sex with these men. Yes. Garagos, you're in therapy now, right? Yes. You love Mr. Combs? I love to spend time with my partner. Don't you love the key of the words? I love to spend time with my partner. That's funny. I'm sorry, I just find that to be funny. She didn't use any terms of endearment like, I love spending time with my boyfriend. I love spending time with my love. I love spending time. No, it's I love spending time with my partner. Whatever that means. It's not really terms of endearment. You want to cuddle with him? Jane, to give him foot rubs, you said. Comey, objection to counsel making herself a witness. Jane, I love to bathe him, and he watched his favorite show. I mean, gosh, is this like not the Roman times and the king was in the water with all the little flowers and the roses and everything, and the people were fanning him with the feathers, and he was getting all massaged. I mean, I got that all pictured in my head. It's just ridiculous. Okay. Which show was that? Dateline. Did you believe he was not doing this with anyone else? During this time period, you'd look at his messages, right? Yes. He was vulnerable in those hotel rooms, and I shared that with him. It was conflicting. I was breaking all my boundaries so that he could feel loved. Guys, I feel like I'm reading 50 Shades of Grey to you. It's just ridiculous. All right. Garrett goes, this brought you together? This brought you two together. Jane, yes, the love making afterwards. That's why I enjoyed it. Okay, you already had like a train pulled on you and then there was love making. I'm sorry, guys. This is just crazy. Gargos, you tried to be very sexy to him in those rooms. Jane, I think I was sexy in those rooms. Gargos, because you are a beautiful woman, did you choose the wardrobe? Jane, initially he did. Gargos, he liked baby oil. It turned him on? Jane, yes. Gargos, how old were you when you started your relationship with Mr. Combs? Jane, 35. Gargos, what examples of your fantasy talk is in those rooms? Oh, he would have me and the entertainers be in a role play, cheating role play that Sean left town and Gargos, how high were your heels? Jane, 6 to 7 inches. Usually I wear 3 to 4 inch heels. Now, can you imagine? I mean, I'm not much into wearing high heels these days because I'm a little too old and my ankles are a little too weak. So 3 to 4 inch heels are a lot. But 5 to 6 to 7 inch heels, I would have fell off the heels and broke my ankles, and that would have been the end of that. I mean, come on, guys. Really? You're over there parading around in your heels like you're all that? Look at me. Like somebody on the Kiss show? That's insane. It's insane. All right. So she's 35 years old and she's doing a cheating role play. Garrett goes. And then she's wearing 6 to 7 inch heels. Wow. You want your child to be closer to your child's father, but did the father see the child? What does that have to do with this? Garrett goes, who you're fly weekly to Miami to Mr. C, Mr. Combs? Jane, sometimes we listen to 5 voice notes in which Mr. Combs sounded angry, but he sent you thousands, right? Jane, yes. Why did you feel he was larger than life? I thought he was a bright light. Jane, he introduced me to the gospel. You know, this is blasphemy at its best. I'm like speechless right now. He introduced her to the gospel. Really? Did he introduce it right? He introduced her to the gospel. All right. Well, he must have not introduced it right. Garrett goes, has that stayed with you? Jane, yes. Did you watch the pastor today? Objection sustained. How much did he invest in your dress line? $20,000. This is a billionaire, and he invested $20,000 in her dress line. All right. So why did you do, Garros? Why did you join OnlyFans? Jane, if I could get off it, I would, but needed for financial reasons. Gargos, Mr. Combs gave you money throughout the relationship. In 3.5 years, does $150,000 sound right? Jane, I would assume So I gave her $150,000. This is a billionaire, and she's supposed to do a dress line. So now we've got her. She's on OnlyFans. All right, here goes. You told the government your gratuity towards providers. Jane, yes, as a woman, I like that. Oh my God, that almost sounds like Diddy. Daddy, I like that. I like that, Daddy. Ooh. Here goes. You called the house, our house, Jane. Later, I saw it was my house. Well, your house is being paid for by Diddy at this moment, Jane, and you may not have that house much longer. All right, here goes. You thought it was important that his staff not know about the entertainers, right? Prosecution objection. Judge overruled. Right. Here goes. And the reason you go to the house. Here goes. And that's the reason you go to the house. And that a yard for your son. And Jane says, can you please say my child? All right. And then it goes on a little bit further, and he has named her, you know, everybody has a pet name like my cuddle bunny or my whatever, my sweetheart, my beautiful flower, my blooming rose. No, her pet name from Diddy was Crack Pipe. Okay? He called her Crack Pipe. Let that sink in for a minute. I wouldn't want my nickname to be Crack Pipe. And then they went on a break. And they've been on a break for about an hour and a half. Come on, guys. Really? Crack Pipe? Wow. Wow. You don't call, if there's any name I would like in the world, it wouldn't be Crack Pipe. I mean, don't call me Crack Pipe. So they're still on break as far as I can see. This has been a super long break. They're having a problem right now. With one of the jurors. So there's where your mistrial's going to come in, right? So we have the Diddy trial going on this side of the world, right? And then we got LA popping off all over last night. And so I was up very, very late last night trying to figure out this. Guys, this is a lot of money. Right here, this is a lot of money that they have, a lot of buildings they have destroyed. This is a lot of, people are getting paid for this. Don't think they're not. They're getting paid for this. So I looked it up. Who is funding all of this, right? We already figured that Soros is a part of it. But now it's called Cherla. It's CHERLA, and it's with a bunch of different people collaborated into this one group, right? And then I find out that some of our tax-paying money, you know, they have these grants, right? Each state gets grants for different things. Well, that money is going into this also. Okay, that's going in there too. So it's like $400,000 and all of, and then they're saying the CCP is adding to this fund. It's endless money here, guys. This is a lot of money. Now, I have something very, very, very important I need to share with you. Texas popped off last night in Dallas and in Austin. New York popped off. They're doing their thing over there. These, if I didn't say it once, I've said it 100 times. We're getting ready to go through a 3-day dark, three dark days, right? I've said it almost a year or so. And I said, this is the time that I want you to go into your house, lock your door, and forget about everything that's going on outside. This all, I'm sure, rings familiar. All right. I said, don't be in big events. Do not be in large crowds. Correct? That was another thing I said. Don't be in large crowds. I preached this for a year. All right. What is happening in the very near future that's going to cause a large crowd? Does anybody know? I'm just curious. So it's going to be a very big event. It's going to be Juneteenth, the 14th Saturday, right? Trump is planning this big parade. Everything's supposed to be great. All right. In the back channels, and allegedly they are planning a riot nationwide on the 14th. So guys, don't be in any big cities. All right? Just don't be in any big cities. Go in your house. Lock your door for the weekend. Don't go out there and be amongst the crazies, because it's going to get nuts. They have all been put here for a reason. They've all been embedded in our country for a reason. This is the only way to take down the United States is from within, and this is what they're doing. This is this morning. What you see going on here in Los Angeles, this is this morning. We've got 500 Marines sitting in front of the federal building there. Right? We've got 4,000 National Guard in LA. Okay. Is that going to be enough? Is that going to be enough? What are we going to have to do when every large city in the United States pops off? I mean, this is insanity. This is insanity at its best. And this was all orchestrated and planned way ahead of time. Right now it's quiet. It always is quiet about this time, because right now it's only 5 minutes to 9 in the morning in LA. These people were up till about 3 o'clock in the morning, LA time. So they're sleeping so they can turn around and pop off and do crazy stuff tonight. So I am figuring it'll be about 1 o'clock my time, 2 o'clock my time, and the crowds will start pouring in again. And it's going to continue all week. And they're going to continue to do graffiti all over everywhere. They've already set, we already saw the 5 driverless cars set on fire. They set 2 cars on fire last night. It's chaos. They're looting. It's something you do not see in the United States streets, and we're seeing it. And these are not people that are looking for sanctuary because they feel like their life is in danger in their own country. These are people that are placed here to start rioting and start the trouble, and this is what's going on. Let me ask you, this is a question. This is a really good question. Gavin Newsom is telling everybody they're not violent. What do you mean they're not violent? Gavin, what do you mean? Are you afraid of the cartel? Is that what's going on with you? What do you mean it's not violent? It's horribly violent. They're burning cars. They're busting up buildings. They're throwing rocks at the officers. What do you mean it's not violent? Where's your head? Karen Bass, same thing. Oh no, this isn't violent. They're peacefully protesting. Well, they might be peacefully protesting at 9 o'clock in the morning, but come right before nightfall, it is not peaceful anymore. So what does Gavin say? He tells Tom Homan, just throw me in jail. Come arrest me, big guy. Come arrest me. Show your power. Throw me in jail. Well, you know what? Maybe they should. But he feels like that he's got such backing that, you know, I've got such great backing of my people. You throw me in jail and it'll only get worse. Because in the backside here, guys, behind the scenes and behind the curtain, you know, don't pay any attention to the man behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. He's going along and cheering it on. Go for it. Burn the buildings down. Destroy the streets. We can't let him do this. Trump can't do this to us. At this point, does it really matter? Does it really matter who's the president of the United States? Does it? Does it? Does it matter? I don't think it matters. Trump is trying to get this country back on the rails. It was going off the rails. He's trying to put it back on the rails. And this is what we got. This is what we got. We've got a nightmare. And the government officials in California are not backing him. It's sick and it's sad. It's very sad. And what is, and tell me, somebody tell me, give me an answer to this. What is going to come out of all of this destruction? What good is going to come out of all this destruction? What is going to change? Other than, I guess there's going to be more people working because they're going to have to put it all back together as we sink further and further in debt because it's our tax-paying money that's paying for all of this. What good is coming out of this? Nothing. Nothing good. I can answer my own question. Nothing good is coming out of this. And you're going to find, and I keep preaching it over and over and over, and I'm going to preach it again, it's going to get worse. And all the big cities are going to be triggered because they put a little bit in each city, right? Let's go back, 3 years ago when they were all pouring in and you had the border wars people down there at the border and they would talk to them. Where are you going? I'm going to New York City. Where are you going? I'm going to New York City. Where are you going? I'm going to... See, they didn't interview any of the ones that were in LA because Tijuana was right there and they didn't interview them. They didn't have far to go. So, you know, they're all in LA. But all the other ones that were coming across, they were going to New York. They were going to Denver. They were going to Minneapolis. They were going to all of these big cities. This is where they were going, right? No one said they were going to Bill, Wyoming. Never was said. Why would they go there? There wasn't anything there. There's only 3 people. They have their own city. No, they want to go to big cities where they can hide out and they can hide in a crowd. Take off your mask. Why won't you take off your mask? I think the first thing I would do is I'd start arresting all those people with the masks on. What do you think? If you're wearing a mask and you're covering yourself up and you don't want anyone to see who you are, you're going to jail. Period. End of story. We're just going to start arresting all the people that are wearing anonymous masks or covering everything up at their eyes, burqas, all this kind of stuff. No, we're not going to have this. If you're in the streets and you're rioting and you have a mask on covering your identity, then you know what? You're going to jail. What would happen then? What do you think would happen? I mean, these are large, large crowds. Large crowds. And I sit here and I look, and these people, you know, who I really feel sorry for is I feel so sorry for our Marine Corps that has to come and fight in the streets of the United States against American citizens. Do they not think about all that? Do they not think that this is affecting the people of the United States? I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say. I'm saddened and I'm disappointed and I'm sick to my stomach, and the more I watch it, the sicker I get. And you know, this is something they say, well, if you don't like it and it bothers you so much, then why don't you just not watch it? Okay, well, all right, I can not watch it. I can just pretend it's not happening. We can all pretend it's not happening, but it's in our streets. You can't turn your eye to what's going on here because it's in our streets. This is not the United States, folks. This is not the United States. This is not the way we live. We don't live like this. So, everyone that's listening or anyone that's on replay, do me a favor tonight. Do me a favor today. Don't go into the big cities this weekend. Don't go on the 14th of June. Just keep this in your back of your mind that I've warned you. Please don't do it. And if I'm wrong, okay, if I'm wrong, I will be the first one to come out here and say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I was only doing this for your protection. But you know what? I don't think I'm wrong. They're slowly popping off, and they're implanted in all the big cities. And this was the agenda. And if they don't put a squelch to LA right now, it's only going to get worse. And it's not happening because Gavin Newsom is not letting it happen. So, okay, guys, tired of preaching here. Just do me a favor. And another thing is, if I'm wrong, well, if you have extra food for a couple days while you're in your house, you have extra food. Okay, great. Great. Just make sure you have enough to eat and you don't have to go out for the weekend for any reason. All right? Because it's coming. All of this stuff right here is coming to a city near you. Just prepare. The 14th was supposed to be a big celebration for a lot of great things, and it's not going to be a celebration. They're planning this. They're working on it. They know what they want to do. They know what they have an agenda. They've had an agenda since they got here. And like I said, give it a couple more hours, because right now, you know, here's your military and your National Guard, and they're all standing back, and they're all, you know, they're kind of bored right now having to watch all this. You know, nothing's going right now, but don't worry, it's getting ready to pop off again today. They're just getting their sleep. And I'm very saddened that I even have to come here with all of this, because it's just not right. It's just not right. We don't live like this. I keep saying it over and over, and I'm tired of saying it. We don't live like this in the United States. We don't. we're not, we don't know what it's like to live like this. We just don't live like this. This is third world stuff. We don't go to the streets and burn everything down and act crazy. And you know, I don't see anything new on here. Why, I don't know, but I don't see anything new here. It's just not showing me anything new. Are they still on a break? Really? Sure looks like it. Can you say my child? And that's the last thing I've got here, guys. So, are they going to call it early today, or am I just not getting what I'm supposed to be getting here? I don't know. Well, you know it, Woofy. You know it. You can't be waving your flag in another country and think that it's okay. You just can't. And you know what? They're afraid to riot. A lot of countries are afraid to have riots. I had made that comment. I said, why are they doing this? We don't do this kind of thing. Because we have freedom of speech and we have the right to assemble and protest. This is our freedoms. But aren't you, like, taking those words and twisting them? Yeah, you have the right to protest peacefully. Throwing rocks at the cops is not peaceful. You don't have the right to be throwing rocks at the cops. You don't have the right to be burning the buildings down. You don't have the right to set the cars on fire. You don't have a right to deface federal property and do all this stuff. You do not have a right to do that, and they think they do. That's not freedom of speech. That's destructive, and that's sad. I mean, would you deface your own house? Would you deface your own house, destroy your windows, kick in your windows and destroy your own home? I wouldn't, because I wouldn't have a place to live. Then why are you doing this in our country? Why do you think it's okay to do this in our country? Well, see, that's the thing. That's the thing right there. You assault an officer, be prepared for the consequences. And it's true. You assault an officer, be prepared to go to jail. Woofy, let me tell you something. Do you know how many arrests there has been in the last 5 days? 5 days this has been going. 5 days. Do you know how many arrests there have been? What did I hear? 59 or 126 as of last night. You gotta know there's a heck of a lot more guilty than 126. Yeah. 126 arrests. You know there's more guilty than 126. I mean, when I sit here and go over the Diddy trial and the drama there, and I think to myself, you know what? There's a heck of a lot more drama going everywhere else, right? We're watching right now one of our big cities burn to the ground, basically, and we're worried about who Diddy beat up this week. I mean, it's important. Don't get me wrong, it's important. But is it this important that you know, this is what I'm telling you. These people Okay, it's getting ready to kick off here. Let me stop sharing this one because they're not showing the right one here. Let me stop this one. Let me show you a good one here. Let's show this one. All right, let me show this one to you. Look at this. This is more like what it looks like. I want you to look real close. Does this not look like someplace overseas that does this kind of stuff? Yes. Look at this man do that to our American flag. He should have been arrested right then. Pick him up. You know, here comes your Marines. Here comes your National Guard. Yeah. I mean, look. Look at this. This is the kind of stuff you see in third world countries. That people do this. We don't do this in America. Don't bring your crap to our country. We don't live like this. That's just my own opinion. Don't bring your crap to us. And I'm sure all the military's going, you gotta be kidding me now, right? You gotta be kidding me. We gotta go through this. We gotta defend our own country from within. Look at them. If you weren't deported before now, then you should be deported for sure now. You know, march them out of there. Push them out of there. Keep going, you know, get them out of there. I'm speechless. And here, if you want to hear, sorry, I'm not giving you any sound, but here you go. Unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. Of course, I think this is all a replay from yesterday. I think this one is more live on what's going on right now. But they will be here in a minute. They will be popping off here in a minute. And we will go over to a live review. Right? Well, you want to see, I saw a picture of the rubber bullets. Look at this. Is this the America that you knew, that you grew up in? Is this... This isn't the America I know and love. I'm sorry, we don't do this kind of stuff. We don't act like that. We don't destroy everything. And this is one of those driverless cars are called Waymos, and Waymo's not even sending them out anymore. You know, look. Is that not sick? Sick to all kinds of levels. Look at him. Isn't this somebody that you would really, truly like to bring your children up in a place like this? Kids, look, this is the American way. What? This is not the American way right here. This is not the American way. This is a disaster. And we are, if you guys don't know it by now, if you don't know it yet, you better know it now. If you think that World War III has not began, it has. It has began, and it has began right here in the streets of America. It's right here. They brought it to us. And instead of saying this is an invasion and they are starting a war from within, they're saying they're peacefully protesting. They're peacefully protesting with all the fires going and all the cars on fire. We're peacefully protesting. You know, it's the truth. Woofy, it's the truth. Although, you know what? I'm going to tell you this. It's not really the end days. It's going to get worse before it gets better. And then we have 1,000 days of harmony. But I could skip this part. It's sad. It's sad. And this isn't going to be just America. This isn't going to be just LA. I've said it once. I've said it 1 billion times. This is not going to be just LA. It's coming to a city near you. It's already popped off in Dallas. And it's popped off in Austin. They didn't get their feet grounded. But by June 14th, they'll all be grounded, and it's going to be happening nationwide. I can't express that hard enough to you. June 14th, it will be nationwide. Big cities are going to be popping off all over everywhere. Please be prepared. And I don't want to fearmonger because I don't believe in fearmongering. But this is what they've done. This is what they've done. And if they don't get a handle on this and squelch this real quick, all the other cities are going to feel like they have the same kind of rights, right? Why not? New York was popping off last night. What do? You put an end to this. And you end it now. You arrest the agitators. You arrest these people that are standing up on cars, beating cars with skateboards. Come on, buddy, you're going with me. We're going to put your butt in a rubber room because you don't have sense God promised a goose. Here we go. Let's start loading these people up, guys. Look at this. How dare you? All right, let's see what we got here. Here, let me show you something else. I'm curious about this. Let's see what's going on here. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, here we go.
Sheridan has been working with all of our regions on training, pre-deploying resources, making sure that individuals are out there ready to respond to each state as they bring the necessary resources to take care of their people. But also, sir, you've been very clear that you want to see FEMA eliminated as it exists today. So I'm preparing all of these governors that they will have more control over the decisions on how they respond to their communities so that it can help it happen faster, that they can pre-deploy resources and help coordinate on communication as well. So while we are running this hurricane season, making sure that we have pre-staged and
They are
regions that
they are
traditionally hit
It's going to happen.
in these areas. We're
It's
also
going to
building
happen.
communication
And Clyde and I were
mutual
talking
aid
about that last
agreements
night.
among states to respond to
Everybody
each
in
other
Texas
so that they
is
can
packing.
stand on their own 2 feet
I mean,
with the federal
don't-
government
don't
coming
start
in
anything.
catastrophic circumstances. with
And
funding.
there's a
But
lot of other
we all
states.
know
I
from
think
the past
Colorado
that FEMA
packs
has
too.
failed thousands, if not millions of people. And President Trump does not want to see that continue into the future. So this agency fundamentally needs to go away as it exists And we need to have a response to states that supports them when terrible things come and when the worst day
Look
of their
at Trump.
lives
He's so
happens,
tired.
to where the
He's so
financial
tired of
resources are
everybody
there,
fighting
but they have
him.
decision-making power
Poor
right there
guy.
in the state to respond. So the next several months, we expect it to be high activity, and the federal government is here to support the people of the United States. With President Trump's leadership, while he's doing that, he's also going to make sure that they're better set up for the future so that they have the ability to really take care of their families when a crisis or a terrible storm does hit. We've got many governors that just recently had terrible, tragic losses from tornadoes, from other
Right.
events
Not
that
only
went
do
through
we
their
have
states,
tornadoes and
they
that
were
kind of thing,
extremely
we've got this
responsive, and
going
they've all
on.
been very happy. I think,
Unbelievable.
Mr. President, you even spoke to one of those governors this morning,
Bradley.
who is very happy, and the Missouri governor as well, who is very happy. As soon as something happens in their state, I'm in direct communication with the governors to make sure they have what they need, but also making sure that they have the ability to make decisions. to
See,
respond to the people
are you
that
not
live
getting
in
the
their states.
precursor here?
Thank you very much. Great job.
They're getting ready for
Everybody.
the
So,
14th, guys.
We want to wean off of FEMA, and we want to bring it down to the state level. A little bit like education, we're moving it back to the states, so the governors can handle it. That's why they're governors now. If they can't handle it, they shouldn't be governor. But these governors can handle it, and they'll work in conjunction with other governors. They'll give each other a hand. But the FEMA thing has not been a very successful experiment. Very, very expensive, and it doesn't get the job done. You saw what happened in North Carolina under the past administration. And when we got in, we did a great job for North Carolina, brought it back, but it was a disaster, FEMA. And it has not worked out well. It's extremely expensive. And again, when you have a tornado or a hurricane, or you have a problem of any kind in a state, that's what you have governors for. They're supposed to fix those problems. And it's much more local, and they'll develop a system. And
Tell me if you guys can hear
system.
this. Hope
And
it's loud enough you
also
can
when
hear.
it comes to forest fires. So for years, I've been meeting with heads of other countries, and they are forest countries. They call themselves forest, Austria and others. And they say, we're a forest nation. We live in a forest, and they don't have forest fires. And in one case, he said, our trees are much more flammable than California.
Good.
But we don't have forest fires because we clean the floor, we sweep the floor of leaves, of dead debris, of trees that fall, because after 18 months, the tree is it's like tinder wood, and it goes up, it virtually explodes. Well, we don't take the trees out. California is a disaster, what they've done in California.
Yeah, they
don't
set
do
trees
anything.
on fires, guys.
And if you
They
did,
set
you
trees on
almost
fires.
would not have forest fires. And you could say in theory, you shouldn't have any forest fires. And we spend billions and billions of dollars a year because people don't clean the forests. And we're going to clean the forests. We're going to start cleaning them. We're going to get rid of dead wood. The environmentalists say, oh no, let it regenerate. It doesn't regenerate. It just sits there and it usually catches fire. And we're going to have a whole new system, and it's called forest management. And if you look at some of these countries in Europe and other places that literally live in forests, and very flammable forests, and they don't have problems. And they call me, they don't even know how it's possible that we can have the fires that we have. And the people behind me know that very well, and we're going to start working on that system. And we're going to save a lot of trees. We're also going to cut down trees and replant new trees. And that whole industry is going to be growing because we don't need the help of anybody. We have just about more, or as much, but more than almost anybody else in terms of lumber
Yeah,
and
but what
wood.
about the trees
So
in
we're
California
going to be
that are being
doing
set on
some
fire that
great
aren't
work
even
having to do
dead?
with forest fires. It's going to start effective, really it started a few months ago, and it's forest management. And Doug, I think you're really the head of that. Interiors, I guess you're the largest landlord perhaps anywhere in the world. I understand that's a nice position. You may want to just give a few words on the cleaning of the floor of the forests.
Well, happy to do that. And of course, as President Trump had said, yes, between Interior and Forest Service, which is part of USDA, 700 million acres of surface area, much of that is in forest land. That is a tremendous resource. It's part of America's balance sheet. When we let it burn, then we actually have to spend money coming through FEMA and other places. So we spend taxpayer dollars cleaning up a mess that could have been prevented. Under President Trump, when we get back into the timber business, which up to 30 years
Yeah, let's
ago, we were
clean
one
up
of the
the
great timber
forests
producers
while
in the
they
world.
set the
Communities
trees
thrived
that
in
are
rural
alive
communities.
on
We had
fire.
lumber mills, we had manufacturing, we had furniture makers in this country. All of that went away when we stopped harvesting our own timber. And today we import about as much timber as we used to harvest ourselves. If we can get back in the timber business, that can help on the balance of trade, reduce imports from foreign countries,
And it would keep them from setting on
But
fire.
to make that all happen, again, under President Trump's leadership, we have to get back in the timber business and get back in the game. And when we do that, we have to make sure that we're doing prevention, not just fighting fires after they all get out of control. And so again, working with OMB and others to make sure that we've got the budget for doing the prevention work and the forest management upfront, reduces the expense and the cost on the back end of fighting these massive fires. But again, coordinating across all of our 5 different major firefighting groups today, it's like having 5 generals in the field. They may have different strategies and different tactics. They even have different pay levels. Brooke and I are working to make sure that
we're worried about the timber that's on the ground. We're not worried about the trees that are setting on fire.
Everybody equipped with the right technology to protect them when they're out in the field. Just basic stuff that they don't have today that we were giving our military 20 years ago in terms of things. And then using technology to be able to identify fires when they first start. I mean, with the infrared satellite drones, I mean, there's technology where we can pick out a fire when it just barely begins, and it costs us nothing to put it out, versus when it scales up and becomes these massive fires.
Wow, I don't even know what to say, guys. This is ridiculous. We're even worrying about the trees
President Trump, of course, has got a common
laying on
sense
the ground in
strategy.
the forest.
He's
Why don't we
empowering
worry
all
about the
of the
trees that are
leadership that's
setting on
standing up here
fire
today
right
for us
now?
to go get this job done. It's going to get America back in the timber business. We're going to put out fires when they're small as opposed to when we can't control them when they're large. And we're going to have revenue coming into the federal government from those timber sales, as opposed to those timber leases to the private companies, as opposed to revenue going out through FEMA after the fact when we're cleaning up a mess. So the whole thing makes complete sense. And Brooke and I and Christy and Russ, we're all excited to go out and implement the President's vision.
And we have some of the best timber anywhere in the world, and we don't use it. We freed it up. Lee Zeldin's done an incredible job in that regard, from environmental restrictions that are ridiculous. And a lot of it's been freed up. The rest of it's being freed up. Some areas will continue to protect, but we're going to be freeing up most of it. And again, we have some of the best in the world. And when I hear you say that we lost more in fires than we produce, is so crazy, because we shouldn't lose very much at all. I mean, I could say we shouldn't lose any if it was perfect, but it should not be ever like what we've seen. We're sending billions of dollars to California all the time, because obviously in California they are not doing a good job in any way, shape, or form.
No, they're not.
Any other thing either. So with that, I'm heading to Fort Bragg right now. I think the helicopter's landing as we speak. But if you want, we'll take a few questions.
Mr. President, what do you think about the Insurrection Act to deal with the situation in California?
If there's an insurrection, I would certainly invoke it. We'll see. But I can tell you, last night was terrible. The night before that was terrible. We have, as you've seen, it was on most of your networks, people with big, heavy hammers pounding the concrete and pounding curbs, pounding it, breaking up both, and handing these big chunks of concrete to people. And they were taking that concrete, going up on bridges and dropping it into the roof of a car. They were throwing it at our police. They were throwing it at our soldiers that are there. And we got it stopped, and we have them in custody right now. Look, if we didn't get involved, right now, Los Angeles would be burning, just like it was burning a number of months ago with all the houses.
It's going to be burning, and they're
Los
planning
Angeles
the
right now would be on
14th.
fire, and we have it in great shape. We're not playing
How
around.
will you determine whether or not there is an insurrection?
Well,
And
you'll take a
also-
look at what's happening. I mean, I could tell you there were certain areas of Los Angeles that you could have called it an insurrection. It was terrible. But these are paid insurrectionists. These are paid troublemakers. They get money. And when you take a look at what they do, where they show up and everyone's saying, what's he doing? He's pounding the curbs. This one guy's pounding the curb, breaking the curb, and handing big pieces of granite. In some cases, it's granite and concrete to other people. And they're running out with it. And then we watch
you're
the other
throwing
people,
it at each-
and they
at
try
the
and throw
top.
it into the face of the soldiers, throw it
Right.
into the face of the police, and they hurt some people very
Right.
badly. They go up on bridges, they drop it down on the cars as the cars are
Right.
moving. They're not breaking the curb because they're doing a demolition service. They're breaking it to hand out to people as a weapon.
Exactly.
It's bad stuff. I've never seen that before.
Mr. President, how soon do you want to see
That's 'cause
FEMA
they do that
eliminated?
third world
And what's your
countries.
message to the governors about how much more of an expense is going to fall to states? for
Yeah,
disaster
well, it's not going to be
response?
so much the states. We're going to give out less money. We're going to give it out directly. It'll be from the president's office. We'll have somebody here. Could be Homeland Security, but we're going to give it out through a method where it's given out. As an example, I just gave out $71 million to a certain state. They were looking to do about 120. They were very happy with the 71 million. We did a little cutting, and they were very happy with it. So we're going to do it much differently. We think after this, Christy, I'd say after the hurricane season, we'll
Yes, sir.
start
We
phasing
set
it
up
out.
a FEMA council over the next couple of months. We'll be working on reforms and what FEMA will look like in the future as a different agency, as under the Department of Homeland Security to the President's vision. And it will empower governors to go out and respond to emergency situations. And that what the President does best is to make sure that the taxpayers are only fulfilling the need to which is appropriate, and that people are responsible to respond to their own people closest to home. So
If
it's
a certain state, as an example, gets hit by a hurricane or tornado, that's what a governor should be able to handle it. And frankly, if they can handle it, the aftermath, then maybe they shouldn't be governor.
And Mr. President, when is the last time you
Boy,
spoke
was
to
that a
governors?
dig to Newsom or what?
A day ago, called him up to tell him, got to do a better job, he's doing a bad job, causing a lot of death and a lot of potential death. If we didn't send out the National Guard, and last time we gave him a little additional help, you would have, Los Angeles would be burning right now.
Oh, yeah.
Los Angeles would be not a lot different than what you saw take place in California and Los Angeles just a little while ago. And you got to remember, we have the Olympics coming, and we don't want people looking at Los Angeles like it would have been. It would have been bad. Last night they had total control. We didn't have the military in there, the National Guard, and then we also sent in some Marines. We had some bad people. We have people, they look in your face and they spit right in your face. They're animals. And these are paid insurrectionists. These are paid troublemakers. They're agitators.
So why haven't we arrested
paid.
them?
Do you think somebody walks up to a curb and starts hammering pieces out, has all the equipment necessary, and starts handing it out to people to use as a weapon? These are paid insurrectionists or agitators or troublemakers. You can call it whatever you want. And we ended it, and we have in custody some very bad people. Some very bad people.
Mr. President,
Did you see the guy throwing the rocks at the police cars as they went by?
Because
And
they've been
crushing their
planning it for
windows,
years.
endangering our police.
Apple, they've
we're
been
not gonna let
planning
that
this
happen,
for
yeah.
3
pardon me,
years.
Mr. President, on those
Pretty
Marines,
easy.
Governor Newsom has described them as political pawns. I'm
It's all
curious for
gonna
your reaction to
pop
that
off.
and what you see as the Marines'
I
role
just
and what
got
are
a
their
feeling
rules
it's
of
all gonna
engagement.
pop off.
All I
on
want
14.
is safety. I just want a safe area. We have, Los Angeles was under siege until we got there. The police were unable to handle it. You can speak to the chief. He said it on television
Yep.
3 nights ago. He said, this is more than we can handle. They said that. And the LA police, I know a lot of the police in LA, they're great people. But they're given instructions not to do this, not to do that. But in this case, they were trying their best. They were not able to handle it. It was out of control.
Yep.
When we got there, and you have to remember, I've been here before. And I went right by every rule. And I waited for governors to say, send in the National Guard. They wouldn't do it. They
Yep.
wouldn't do it. And they just wouldn't do it. It kept going on and on. Got worse and worse. And in Minneapolis, that city was burning down 7 days. And I said, I don't care. The governor, who's a governor that just happened to be running for vice president, a total, you talk about an incompetent governor. He's an incompetent person. That he was picked, well, I was actually very happy he was picked for other reasons. But this guy wouldn't call the National Guard.
Yep.
And we ultimately just sent in the National Guard. We stopped it. But that was after 7 days. And I said to myself, if that stuff happens again, we've got to make faster decisions because
Right.
they don't want to do it. The radical left, it's usually radical left and it's usually governors that are Democrat and they don't want to call them in. They don't want to save lives. They don't want to save property. They don't want to call them in. I don't know what it is. We sent them in, not early, we sent them in late as far as I'm concerned. But big problems, as you know, 3 nights ago, big problems were ensuing. If we didn't send in the National Guard quickly, right now, Los Angeles would be burning to the ground.
The Marines is, a lot of people think, an escalatory step, though. These are guys who fight wars. Are you at all concerned that things could get out of hand with Marines
When I see
in
people
American City?
throwing concrete into cars, when I see people, the kind of people that I saw on your network doing danger to the police and to the military and to the National Guard, no, it's okay. You know, you start running out of people when you have 2,000 people from a National Guard standpoint. We have a very big military, but the National Guard, they needed a little extra help, and we sent them a little, and we did a great job last night. We had a lot of cars go up in smoke and flame and a lot of bad scenes, but it was
Yep.
it
we
was
need to
pretty
pray
minor
that
by
we-
comparison. This morning it's very calm. We'll see what happens later. But they know if they go there, they're not going to get anywhere because we have the National Guard there. We backed it up with a number of Marines. Yeah.
Mr. President, do you agree with Governor Abbott soon signing legislation to mandate
Well,
attendance in school classrooms?
Mr.
How did you
President,
do it?
they're
What?
sleeping in.
Governor Abbott is soon going to sign legislation to mandate displays of the Ten Commandments in school classrooms. Do you support him?
I have to take a look at it. I'm going to have to look at it.
Will the National Guard be in California indefinitely? How long will they be there until you think?
Until there's no danger. It's easy. Look, it's common sense. You ask me that question. When there's no danger, they'll leave. You would have had a horrible situation had I not sent them in. Horrible. You'd be reporting on a lot of death and a lot of destruction that's not going to take place.
Yep.
I think if you look, every night it got less and less. They were met with very strong force, the bad people, the bad, sick people that do what they do. But these are paid people in many cases, not in all cases, but in many cases. And they really are, they're agitators.
I was wondering if you had any touch with her at all.
Said what?
I was wondering if you had any response to what Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said.
What'd she say?
She condemned the violence in LA.
Oh, I do too.
Have you been in touch with her at all?
What do you think? I don't condemn it. I condemn the violence in LA, ladies and gentlemen. But I also stopped the violence in LA. And by doing what I did, I stopped the violence in LA. And that would have been, I think, maybe I'd ask Christie to speak to that. That would have been an unbelievable tragedy. We would be talking, I don't know, that would even be here right now. It would have been so bad. I'd probably maybe be out there. I don't know. But Christie, could you speak to that?
Absolutely. So in 2020, I was a governor of a neighboring state to Tim Walz and watched him let his city burn. And the president and I talked about this in the past, and he was not going to let that happen to another city and to another community where a bad governor made a bad decision. So Claudia Sheinbaum came out and encouraged more protests in LA, and I condemn her for that. She should not be encouraging violent protests that are going on. If people are allowed to peacefully protest, but the violence that we're seeing is not
Right.
acceptable, and it's not going to happen in America.
Right.
This president is standing up for the average American who wants to walk their child to school every day safely, run their small business, and provide for their families. That's the action that he's taking. He has every authority under the Constitution to send these National Guard under Title X into these communities and make sure that operations go smoothly, that law enforcement officers are protected, that they can continue to do their work without fear of being injured or killed or disrespected, and that they can go home to their families at night. So I'm incredibly proud of the president for activating the National Guard and for sending in these Marines. because
Okay,
these
well, if you
Marines are
take care,
specifically
I'll see you
trained
at
to meet the
6:30
needs that we have on
tonight,
the ground
right?
In LA right now. And Governor Newsom has done a disservice to the state of California for many years. The people there should never elect him into a leadership position ever again. He
The
clearly
governor's a
cannot.
nice guy, but he's grossly incompetent.
Terrible
When it comes
governor.
to his railroad that he's building, where it's like 30 times over budget, nobody's ever seen anything like it. Now it doesn't even go to San Francisco and LA. It's way short of it. After years of work and overruns, like those contractors are some of
Have
the
a blessed
wealthiest
day,
people
my
in the world, I
friend.
guarantee you that. Because that money goes to those contractors. They just did a number on the wallet of the people of California. That train, you should look at that train. That is the greatest, I've never seen cost overruns. I've seen cost overruns and great incompetence over my life. I've never seen anything like that.
Mr. President, these protests obviously started in reaction to these large-scale ICE operations in Los Angeles. Should people expect to see similar operations in the rest of the country?
Yeah.
And will similar protests see
Yeah,
similar response?
as you know, We're moving murderers out of our country that were put here by Biden or the auto pen. The auto pen really did.
The auto pen.
People, whether it's
Let's
Lisa
blame the auto
Monaco or
pen.
whoever operated the auto pen. These are criminals. People are criminals that allowed these criminals into our country. And I don't think that Biden knew what the hell he was doing. I don't think he even knew about it. But when they opened up our borders for the whole world to come in, yeah, we're going to get them out. We're getting them out. We're starting to get acknowledgement from the courts that, there's a system. They come in without courts and they go out, they want trials and everything else. I think that's starting to work out now. Judges are starting to see what a terrible situation it is. Many of those people that you saw on television last night are criminals that were allowed into our country by Biden. And they want to stay, and we don't want them. And they come from jails, and they come from mental institutions, and they come from all over the world, not just South America. And we're not going to let them stay. And this is the first, perhaps, of many, or perhaps, if we didn't attack this one very strongly, you'd have them all over the country. But I can inform the rest of the country that when they do it, if they do it, they're going to be met with equal or greater force than we met right here. We did a great job. The people, you, Christy, and Tom Holman, and all of the people, Pete Hegseth, all of the people involved did an amazing job. We stopped a disaster. And it looks like a planned disaster, this didn't just
Yes,
happen.
it does.
They had weapons, they had tools, they had everything you needed. I mean, they were throwing iced water in bottles, in glass bottles, at officers and at soldiers.
Unbelievable.
These are, you could not use the word insurrection, but you could also use the word, these are very dangerous people, they're bad people. They were met with heavy force and they folded. And they may be there a little bit tonight, they may be there a little bit, but it seems to be getting less and less because they're going there and they're met with a very heavy force. And if they weren't, you would have that city right now would be on fire. It would be burning down. The rest of it, what's left over, because the other fire was started because they wouldn't allow water into LA. They wouldn't allow water into California because they had it all shifted out to the Pacific Ocean. And I turned it around. And told them to do it in my first term, and they didn't do it. We had COVID, and they didn't do it. And I told them to do it, we did it in the second. Now we have billions of gallons of water flowing down, but Newsom should have done this. He's an incompetent man and an incompetent governor. Okay, any other questions?
Mr. President, any message to adversaries as the Army kicks off 250-year birthday celebration?
I just think it's amazing. We're going to have a fantastic June 14th parade, Flag Day. It's going to be an
You know
amazing
what,
day.
Trump, I'm afraid you're going to be met with
Planes,
something on
we have
June
all sorts
14th.
of things, and I think
You're
it's
not
going to be great. We're going
expecting.
to celebrate our country for
I
a
hope you're
change.
preparing.
Recently, as you know, with World War II, the victory of World War II, I called up France, and they were celebrating the victory. Well, we helped them a lot, as you know. I don't have to get into that. But I called up other countries. They were all celebrating the victory. We're the only country that didn't celebrate the victory, and we're the one that won the war. Okay, if it wasn't for us, that war, you would be speaking German right now, okay? We won the war, and you might be speaking Japanese too. I mean, you might be speaking a combination of both. We won the war, and we're the only country that didn't celebrate it. And we're going to be celebrating big on Saturday. We're going to have a lot of, and if there's any protester that wants to come out, they will be met with very big force. By the way, for those people that want to protest, they're going to be met with very big force. And I haven't even heard about a protest, but, this is people that hate our country, but they will be met with very heavy force.
Mr. President, one last
Thank
question
you very much,
California.
everybody.
Thank you, press.
Thank you.
Thank you, press. Let's move out. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And we are prepared for what is coming. We are anticipating that we will have higher than usual activity during this hurricane season. We could have 3 to 5 major storms, up to a dozen other hurricane
Great
level
hurricane season.
thresholds that
We got
will
the
meet throughout
hurricanes
this
happening.
season. And FEMA stands prepared and has been working
We
with all of
got
our
people
regions
protesting
on
in
training,
the streets.
redeploying resources.
We've got illegals
making sure
burning
that
our stuff
individuals are out
down.
there ready to respond to each state as
Wow.
they bring the necessary resources to take care of their people. But also, sir, you've been very clear that you want to see FEMA eliminated as it exists today. So I'm preparing all of these governors that they will have more control over the decisions on how they respond to their communities so that it can help it happen faster that they can pre-deploy resources and help coordinate on communication as well. So while we are running this hurricane season, making sure that we have pre-staged and worked with the regions that are traditionally hit in these areas, we're also building communication and mutual aid agreements among states to respond to each other so that they can stand on their own 2 feet with the federal government coming in catastrophic circumstances with funding. But we all know from the past that FEMA has failed thousands, if not millions of people. And President Trump does not want to see that continue into the future. So this agency fundamentally needs to go away as it exists. And we need to have a response to states that supports them when terrible things come and when the worst day of their lives happens, to where the financial resources are there, but they have decision-making power right there in the state to respond. So the next several months, we expect it to be high activity, and the federal government is here to support.
Yeah, it's going to be high activity in all kinds of different levels.
President Trump's leadership, while he's doing that, he's also going to make sure that they're better set up for the future, so that they have the ability to really take care of their families when a crisis or a terrible storm does hit. We've got many governors that just recently had terrible, tragic losses from tornadoes, from other events.
Oh, great. Now we're going to commercial. Okay.
The Missouri governor as well, who is very happy. As soon as something happens in their state, I'm in direct communication with the governors to make sure they have what they need, but also making sure that they have the ability to make decisions to respond to the people that live in their states.
Thank you very much, Rachel, everybody. So we want to wean off of FEMA, and we want to bring it down to the state level. A little bit like education, we're moving it
All
back
right,
to the states.
I think this is going back over the same thing again. Guys, I don't even know what to say right now, because I just don't think, I think he's in for a shock, and I think we're getting ready to see another pop-off tonight, and I think we're going to see a great big pop-off happen on the 14th, and we're going to have another night like this. Here, let me show you. Let me give you just a little idea of what we're going to see again tonight. It's going to happen, and let me show you a little bit of what we're going to see again tonight. We're going to see this again tonight, guys. This is just a replay of yesterday, but it's going to be going again. They're not going to stop, and they're going to start popping off in big cities. So I can't warn you guys enough. Stay away from the big cities this weekend. We knew that they came in, they had an agenda. We knew we had a good idea. We had a real good idea this is what was going to happen. And they waited. And now they're doing their thing. Now they're doing their thing. All right, guys. I'm going to end it for now. I love you all. And I will see you tonight at 6:30. All right. Have a great day. Love y'all.
From shady news to crime so rough, you already know we just can't make this stuff.